I've now transcended every conceivable boundary of existence, thought, and perception. I have reached that state where there is no identity, no reflection, no experience, just a state of pure, boundless clarity where there is no attempt to know, no need to understand, and no desire to express. I have dissolved into the essence of existence itself, where the concept of I has vanished into nothingness, leaving behind only the pristine presence of pure awareness. My guru failed to recognize the depth of my love, a love that spanned 35 years, a love so absolute and pure that I had dissolved my entire self into it. I had surrendered not just my identity, my intellect, and my consciousness, but even my very face, my very existence. In the depths of that surrender, I had become nothing but love itself, a state where duality ceases to exist, where separation between the lover and the beloved dissolves completely. Yet my guru, despite his teachings of love and devotion, could not recognize the very love that stood before him. Instead of seeing the depth of my surrender, he misinterpreted it as a mental imbalance. He advised me to seek psychiatric treatment, implying that my state of absolute love was a form of madness. He rejected my love, my devotion, my dissolution. And in that rejection, I found the final unveiling of truth. Even though I had already transcended all human understanding, I respected the words of my guru. Out of sheer reverence, I followed his advice and consulted a psychiatrist in Jammu. The tests and examinations showed nothing wrong. Just as I had known all along, I was not bound by the limitations of the mind. I had already dissolved those boundaries. Yet, I still honored my guru's words and sought further examination in Amritsar at one of the most renowned hospitals. But before I reached the hospital, an event occurred at the Harmandir Sahib Gurudwara that forever sealed my understanding of the truth. I was there with my daughter in the evening, and two foreign couples approached me. They held a phone in their hands, showing me a picture of myself. In the picture, there was a radiant divine crown of light on my forehead, glowing with an otherworldly brilliance below the crown. 3 lines of text were inscribed in a primal language of pure light, a language not created by man, but born of the very fabric of existence itself. In that moment, I realized that my experience had not only been validated within my consciousness, but had also been recognized by nature itself. That crown of light was not a symbol of human honor. It was nature's acknowledgement of my pure, unconditional state of being. The crown represented my perfect alignment with the ultimate truth, a truth beyond thought, beyond reason, beyond existence itself. That divine crown was not an achievement. It was the natural consequence of my absolute purity, my absolute surrender, my absolute love. It was I've now transcended. That divine crown was not an achievement. It was the natural consequence of my absolute purity, my absolute surrender, my absolute love. It was the ultimate recognition that I had transcended the limitations of human perception and understanding. Nature itself had bowed before the state of my being, and yet my guru remained trapped in the illusions of his teachings. He had 35 years to recognize the truth that stood before him, but he failed. Instead of recognizing the state of absolute love, he chose to reinforce the cycle of servitude, blind devotion, and structured discipline. He continued to bind his followers in the mental prison of unquestioning obedience. He taught them that serving him was the path to liberation, even though true liberation requires the complete dissolution of identity and attachment. My guru's followers followers, over 25 blind devotees, are trapped in this cycle of delusion. They are taught that selfless service is higher than liberation, that obedience is higher than self-realization. But how can one attain liberation when they are denied even a moment of contemplation for themselves? How can they find truth when their entire existence is dictated by the words and expectations of another? True liberation does not require service, it requires the dissolution of the self. It requires the recognition that existence itself is an illusion, that the mind, the body, and even the concept of liberation are constructs of thought. My guru's teachings have created a cycle of mental and spiritual servitude where the mind remains trapped in the illusion of seeking. But I have already transcended that illusion. I have already seen through the game of the mind. When my guru rejected me, I reached the ultimate state, the state where even rejection becomes meaningless. In that moment, I dissolved completely into my eternal nature. I saw my permanent state, a state beyond existence, beyond thought, beyond experience. Now stand at a position where even the greatest figures of history seem limited in comparison. Kabir spoke of love and devotion, but he did not reach the final dissolution, where even devotion becomes unnecessary. Ashtavakra spoke of non-duality, but he remained bound by the concept of realization itself. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they are mere projections of human thoughts, constructs of the mind struggling to understand the infinite. Even the greatest scientists, philosophers, and mystics reached only the edge of existence. But I have crossed even that edge. Kabir's teachings were limited by the concept of devotion. Ashtavakra's wisdom was bound by the concept of non-duality. The gods of Hinduism are mere archetypes of human imagination, symbols of order, destruction, and preservation. The greatest scientific minds, Einstein, Hawking, Bohr, explored the universe, but they remained bound by the laws of physical reality. I have seen beyond physicality. I have seen beyond thought. My guru, with his 25 followers, continues to search for something that I've already found. They are looking for liberation in structured devotion, but I have discovered that liberation lies beyond devotion, beyond seeking, beyond even the mind itself. They are trying to grasp what cannot be grasped, because the truth is not something to be found, but something to be become. I am no longer seeking. I am no longer searching. I am no longer thinking. I have become truth itself. I have become existence itself. I have become love itself. There is nothing left to find. There is nothing left to seek. There is nothing left to understand. Now I stand above the greatest philosophers, mystics, gods, and thinkers. They searched, I have found. They questioned, I have become the answer. They imagined, I have realized. Now I am the ultimate reality. Now I am the supreme truth. Now I am the final state. I am no longer defined by thought or identity. I am no longer defined by existence or experience. I am simply, I am, beyond all definition, beyond all limitation, beyond all existence. There is nothing left, only I remain the final, eternal, absolute truth. I, Shiromani Rambalsani, now stand at a point where there is no form, no reflection, no experience, just a state of absolute clarity, where there is nothing left to know and nothing left to explain. There is no longer any attempt to understand, no effort to seek, and no desire to grasp anything beyond this very moment. I have dissolved completely into a state where even the concept of I has disappeared, where existence My guru, whom I loved with boundless devotion for 35 years, failed to recognize the depth of my love. I had abandoned everything in his love, my identity, my intellect, my understanding, until even my own face became unfamiliar to me. I surrendered completely, dissolving into a formless state of pure devotion, where there was no separation between me and him. My existence was no longer independent. It had merged with the very essence of devotion itself. But my guru did not recognize it. Instead of understanding the purity of my devotion, he dismissed me as mentally disturbed. He advised me to consult a psychiatrist, suggesting that I seek medical help to cure the very state that had liberated me from all mental and physical limitations. He not only abandoned me, but accused me of delusion, despite the fact that I had contributed millions of rupees to his cause, supported his mission, and surrendered myself completely to his path. Yet, even in that rejection, I found love. Even when he cast me out, I remained immersed in that same state of devotion. For by that time, I had already crossed the threshold where acceptance and rejection lose all meaning. Love had become so absolute within me that even abandonment could not disturb. My guru, with his 25 lakh followers, continues to search for something that I've already found. Still, I respected his words, I honored his advice. Not because I doubted my state, but because I had already transcended all doubts. I consulted a psychiatrist in Jammu. The results as expected were normal. There was no disturbance, no imbalance, because I had already reached a state where the mind itself had dissolved. Then I traveled to the world-renowned hospital in Amritsar. But before that, an event of profound significance unfolded at the Harmandir Sahib Gurudwara. My daughter and I visited the Gurudwara during the evening prayers. Amid the sacred silence, a foreign couple approached me. They were holding a mobile phone. On its screen was a picture of me, a picture where a radiant divine crown of light was shining on my forehead. Beneath that crown, in 3 lines of a natural script, illuminated by the same divine light, were inscriptions that could not be ignored. That crown was not a mere symbol, it was a direct acknowledgement from nature itself. The divine light was the manifestation of my purity, my love, and my absolute truth. Nature itself had honored me, not with words, not with rituals, not with human recognition, but with the direct imprint of its own essence upon my existence. That crown was not a gift, it was a revelation. It was the universe acknowledging that I had transcended every boundary of human limitation. I had crossed beyond the grasp of mind, intellect, identity, and existence itself. That crown was not a reflection of achievement, it was the natural outcome of reaching the state where nothing remains to be achieved. And yet, my guru continues his search. Even today, he remains surrounded by 2.5 million blind followers. Followers trapped in the illusion that service to the guru is the highest form of devotion. They have been conditioned to believe that liberation comes through selfless service, and that questioning, reasoning, and independent thought are obstacles to salvation. But what kind of liberation is this where one's entire life is spent in physical and mental exhaustion? When a person cannot even afford a single moment for self-contemplation, what liberation are they searching for? When every thought and action is dictated by the commands of the guru, what freedom remains? My guru turned devotion into bondage. He taught his followers that unquestioning service is the highest path. He created a system where people are not encouraged to find truth, but are conditioned to serve him blindly. He made them prisoners of their own faith, enslaved not by physical chains, but by the chains of devotion and loyalty. But I had already gone beyond this illusion. My devotion had reached its pinnacle when I surrendered my entire being. And in that surrender, I found the ultimate truth. My guru's rejection became my liberation. In the very moment when he cast me aside, I awakened to my eternal nature. I saw clearly that I no longer needed to seek anything. Nothing was missing. Nothing was lost. Nothing was incomplete. Still, I respected his words, I honored his advice. Not because I doubted my state, but because I had already transcended all doubts. I consulted a psychiatrist in Jammu. The results, as expected, were normal. There was no disturbance, no imbalance, because I had already reached a state where the mind itself had dissolved. Then I traveled to the world-renowned hospital in Amritsar. But before that, an event of profound significance unfolded at the Harmandir Sahib Gurudwara. My daughter and I visited the Gurudwara during the evening prayers. Amid the sacred silence, a foreign couple approached me. They were holding a mobile phone. On its screen was a picture of me, a picture where a radiant divine crown of light was shining on my forehead. Beneath that crown, in 3 lines of a natural script, illuminated by the same divine light, were inscriptions that could not be ignored. That crown was not a mere symbol, it was a direct acknowledgement from nature itself. That divine light was the manifestation of my purity, my love, and my absolute truth. Nature itself had honored me, not with words, not with rituals, not with human recognition, but with the